How to follow up to create a six-figure-a-year offline consulting business. Hi there, it's Bayo here, founder, coach and mentor over at instantofflineguru.com. And in this presentation I want to share with you how to follow up the correct way and the fundamentals in order to create a six-figure-a-year offline consulting business. Now, if you want more information about how to create your own thriving offline marketing consulting business, I invite you to visit us at www.instantofflineguru.com. So, is following up alone going to create a six-figure-a-year offline consulting business for you? Well, the answer is no, because obviously following up is just one element of a whole chain of business events that you need to have in place, or that you need to kick into place within your business. Now, if you followed me for any amount of time, you know that I keep on talking about systems. And by systems I mean that things that you do within your business that deliver to you predictable results predictably. And that's paraphrasing the words of Michael Gerber from the book The E-Myth. Systems also save you stress, time, energy and money. And following up is just one of the systems that you need to have in place in order for you to have a thriving and successful six-figure-a-year in the region of 150,000 offline consulting business. I know because I've done it. I know because all the systems that I revealed to my subscribers and those that I coach, they're all systems that I've actually implemented myself within my business across various lines of service businesses. So let's talk about following up very, very briefly. Oh yeah, before I do that, let me just explain to you, in the spirit of full disclosure, that what I'm about to reveal to you is part of the content that's available to not only coaching students of mine, but also people who are members of my six-figure-a-year offline consulting marketing membership program. Now, if you want more information about that, please visit the site at instantofflineguru.com to get more information about the program in general and how you can get started. And normally the content that's available is available in both PDF, audio format and video as well. Okay, so is following up necessary? Well, maybe yes, maybe no. I don't know what your business model is like. But what I know is that many prospects, especially those with a genuine interest, not the tire kickers, appreciate the phone call and the fact that you cared enough to follow through. When you're dealing with people that you've had some form of initial contact, you're going to need to actually carry out 5 specific steps in order to pre-qualify them to determine if they're a good fit for you and if they're worth pursuing any further. And we'll get to that in a moment. But the fact is, many prospects, as I said earlier on, especially those with a genuine interest, will appreciate the fact that you've taken the time to call them and that you've actually cared enough to follow through. I am constantly amazed at the number of offline consultants that do not follow through. I mean, it's just crazy. What they do is they have the initial contact, and after that, nothing else. Nothing else happens. And then people wonder why offline marketing consulting seems to be a struggle. Let me tell you this. In today's competitive marketing environment, more and more of the people that are our competitors, your competitors locally, they are following up, and they're doing it aggressively. What we might have thought in maybe months or years past to be marginal has absolutely, is disappeared, and they're following up aggressively and in ways, obviously, that sometimes are ethical, sometimes are unethical, and they're playing it by a numbers game. But being successful as an offline marketing consultant isn't about numbers, and we'll talk about that later on. But if they follow up and you don't, they stand a much better chance of making their services look superior to yours, even though their services may actually be really, really inferior to what you have to offer. And any criticism they have of your offline marketing consulting services will go unchallenged. And this happened to me at one point in time where a local competitor was aggressively marketing to the same people that I was marketing to. And what they did was they let's just say they made certain statements about the services that we offer and how we go about doing what we do that were totally unfounded and untrue and underhand. And the only way that I got to hear about these things was because of following up. But just imagine if I hadn't followed up, those criticisms of my service will have gone unchallenged, and our prospects and our existing clients, they're not going to come and ask you. If you're not making that contact, you'll never hear about it. When it comes to following up and pre-qualification, you definitely are going to need to speak to people. Now, I know this is going to freak certain people out, but let me tell you right now that it's a key to success. Getting people to feel you, to taste you, to sample you is one of the key things that you're going to need to do. So how do prospects respond to a follow-up phone call? Well, I can tell you this. Those prospects who are serious, or those who aren't serious rather, or those who are just collecting collateral, information. You talk to them and say, send me some information. Don't you just hate those sort of prospects? But those are the ones who won't be chatty when you call. Now, but you can make these calls brief and not keep them on the phone for too long. That's it. It's just one of those things. The best prospects you can ever have for your local business, business prospects you could ever have, are those who are so interested that they actually call you after receiving maybe your postcard to discuss a piece of work before you've actually got a chance to get back to them. Now, these are the prospects who are most likely to become paying clients. So when should you follow up? Well, I generally do it about a week or two after the initial contact, and that's something that I would suggest that you do as well. But there's a lot more into this. There's a lot more to it in terms of following up. But for just because of time, what I'm just going to do is I'm going to take you through what I call the 5-step pre-qualification, and it's something that you should be doing so that you don't waste your time speaking to people who have no need for your services at all. Now, there are 2 reasons to follow up with prospects. The first one is to qualify them, in other words, to determine which are good ones and which ones aren't. And the second reason is to sell your offline marketing consulting services to those who actually pass what I call our initial screening test. But before you do all of this, you need to pre-qualify them. So here are the 5 steps, or the 5 pre-qualification criteria that I always use, that I urge you to use within your offline marketing consulting business as well. Now, the first one, they have to have either an immediate or a future need. That's the very first thing. If they don't have an immediate need, well, maybe they have a future need. So it doesn't mean if they don't have a need now, you discard them and you move on. But they may have an immediate need and also have a future need. That'll be great. But the first pre-qualification criteria when you're following up is to establish if they have an immediate or a future need. The second criteria is that they can afford to pay you what you're actually asking for. Now, it breaks my heart when people go for people who are, tire kickers, and really, no matter how low you take your charges or your fees, they're never going to actually engage you. And if they do, they become a pain in the neck, which is something we'll talk about shortly. The second qualification criteria, if I can get the words out, is that they can afford your fees. The third qualification criteria is that they are the decision maker, or they can get approval to actually spend the money to pay for your fees. Because if not, what's the point? The fourth pre-qualification criteria is that you can work with them. Now, notice I didn't say that they can work with you. This is your business. You need to determine how you are going to run it, who you want to work with. Because if you don't, you'll have people that will literally suck your blood and suck your motivation and suck your energy. And it's going to be like having a regular job, a job. And you will just be over broke if you work with the wrong people. And then the fifth criteria is that the business will benefit from working with you. Because if a business doesn't benefit from working with you, then really there's no point in, it's a one-sided thing. Yes, I did talk about the fact that you need to be able to get on with either the person who's cutting you the check or the business itself, but they really have to benefit from working with you, because this is the only way that you're going to get more work, more recurring work, and more repeat work more frequently if such a situation or scenario exists. So these are the 5 criteria, and I call them pre-qualification criteria because these have to be satisfied when you're following up in order for you to do anything next. And so many offline marketing consultants miss this, and they've got this laser focus on the fact that they want to provide SEO services because, again, they've heard it's like shooting fish in a barrel. Look, calm down, slow down, stop for a moment. If you take the time to do the things that you need to do up front, you'll be a lot more effective and successful downstream, and following up is just one of those things that you need to do. Now that's an overview. Even when you do follow up, you're going to get some no's, you're going to get some maybes, and hopefully you'll get lots of yeses. But let me be very, very clear with you right now. This does not happen automatically. The fact that someone meets all of the 5 criteria, the qualification criteria that I mentioned earlier on, doesn't mean that they're automatically going to say, yes, I want to work with you. Some of them will say no, some of them will say maybe, and some of them will say yes. So how do you move people from no to maybe, and those who say maybe to yes? Well, that's something again that I cover on the actual program itself. But let's just recap about following up. Why should you follow up? Well, you want to qualify your local business prospects to find out which ones are good. You want to decide which ones you do want to follow up with further, and you want to determine the ones you don't want to follow up with for whatever reason based on your business model. But if today you had to follow up with people, let's just assume for the sake of discussion you've sent postcards out, maybe you've held a virtual local business event, you've given some sort of webinar or teleseminar, maybe you've even spoken at your local chamber of commerce. In one format or the other, you've reached out to people. Now it comes to the stage where you need to follow up. If you apply these 5 principles, I guarantee that you'll easily be able to determine the businesses that are a good fit for what you have to offer, and the ones that are going to allow you to be more profitable a lot quicker, and will be a pleasure to work with as you build your 6-figure offline marketing consulting business. Now, this is just a fact. Now, it may not sound sexy. We may not have used any big words. What I've just explained may sound simple and devoid of hype. But what I can tell you is this: if it was that simple and also that easy, everyone would be doing it. But apparently, based on surveys I've conducted, based on training sessions that I've run, this is simple, but it's not easy. And you might be thinking to yourself right now, well, I know this. Then if you're doing it exactly the way I've described, you should be getting great results. Now, if you're not getting those results, I invite you to take part in this training session, specifically on following up. So I'm going to be sending more information about that program, and if it's something that is going to fit a need that you have within your knowledge, within your experience, or within your business, then I recommend that you join us. It's going to be fun, it's going to be straightforward like this, and in a short moment I'll give you an example of what we're going to be covering.